Hello walkers, and welcome to Cold Spring, New York. My name is Henry. Here, I'll spin you around here. I can make it work. My name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker today, your virtual travel guide, your co-discoverer. I'm going to flip you around again so that you get to see what I get to see, and we will share this exploration together. Cold Spring is a really cute town. I'm trying, just so you know, I'm trying a different audio solution here. I'm filming on my iPhone now, trying that as a different, hopefully better camera with some HDR, which hopefully will give us some better imagery. I'm gonna walk us down Main Street under the railroad tracks and down to the Hudson River, and there's a little park down there, some great views, although the views are obscured today by Canadian wildfire smoke. It's been really hammering the Northeast and Midwest this year. I guess it's their turn. But Cold Spring is a cute little town. Right near West Point. In fact, it's home of the West Point Foundry. I see a historic site marker over there. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we make our way down. We're on the nexus of Main Street here and 9D. It is 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 degrees Celsius. And there's a nice little cafe, J. Murphy's restaurant bar over there, but we're going to make a turn down here to Main Street. We are starting off here in the corner at St. Mary's Episcopal Church. That's the one I just showed at the very beginning. And we're going to see some great 19th century buildings and from the 1800s. Cute little houses. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm first going to duck back into this neighborhood over here to the right. If I didn't really think that through, but I will have to jaywalk a little bit. So this channel, if you are unfamiliar or new here, unlike a lot of walking channels, I do talk the whole time, so feel free to mute the audio if you find me a little bit jading, which I understand, but I also enjoy talking, enjoy sharing these little discoveries that I find with you. That brings me a lot of joy, as well as interacting with you in the comments section of YouTube. It is 77:25. It's also 10:30 a.m. and we're going to make a right on High Street. 10:30 a.m. in late June. In fact, the last day of June today. So we're getting in on Independence Day here in the United States, if you're joining us from other countries, and that's probably our biggest secular holiday, maybe Thanksgiving, but it's fireworks and barbecues and parades and all sorts of fun stuff. So we're looking forward to that. I kind of wish we were going to be around here for that. I think it would be really interesting. Look at these houses. But it's really fantastic in Livingston as well. So we're going to head back tomorrow on the 1st. So my son was saying how much he enjoys these houses as well. He likes architecture and design. And he's just been agog. We've also seen a lot of flags for Pride and for Ukraine. And I personally like that. Other people might not, but lots of flowers and foliage. I wanted to point out that 77 degrees here is not the same as 77 degrees where I'm from. It is humid here and really pleasant still, but I think it's going to get warm, and as it gets warm, I think the humidity is going to get oppressive, but as for me, having grown up in the East, it's sort of a nice little soothing feeling, brings back a lot of memories and nostalgia. And you got a neat little athletic area and a playground over here. I love these houses. Population of Cold Spring is about 2,000 people. However, it's also an hour outside of New York City. So very accessible. I'm gonna just sort of, guess we'll walk through here if it's not private, so I think it's a park. I want to show you these big cliffs because that area is, I believe, referred to as the Highlands. Now, a little caveat I usually give at the very beginning, and another piece of thing that I want to do, but I'm not an expert in most of these walks, but I do enjoy sharing what I discover and what little I may have learned before I actually set out on the walk. So a lot of trails and state parks around, and my son, who is also into state parks and trails, pointed out that New York, I gotta tighten up my sandal here. New York doesn't have a lot of federal land, which kind of makes sense because it was probably mostly allocated in the settler period before the country got started. And I'm not gonna, there's also obviously the native peoples who lived here with whom I read a little bit about, but I can't remember exactly who and what were here. So anyway, not a lot of federal land, but there are a lot of state parks, which is really pretty cool, I think. I was struck yesterday, we were here actually for Traveling Mel, my wife, who also has a YouTube channel, blog, web presence, social media stuff, for one of her jobs, which is a lot of fun, and I'll talk about that another time. But a lot of state parks. You can see across the way is another huge mountain, for lack of a better word, and cliffs across, and that's the other side of the Hudson River. We're gonna make a left here on Church Street, and we'll head back to Maine. Oh, I wanted to make special, I try to take some time every walk to really thank the people who have supported this channel on Patreon. I can't tell you how much I value that support, emotionally as well as financially. It's very helpful. I've set the only tier of payment to pretty low. It's, I think, $5, $6, because I don't really offer anything special. If you want to support this channel, it's a way to do that. I also want to thank people who have given directly via Facebook. Super helpful. I really appreciate it. And it just means a lot knowing that you guys value these videos. Love these buildings. There's a variety, ooh, look at these little, it's a crazy dill plant, or is that a leek? These planters are really cool. Anyway, I do that a lot. I'm easily distracted. But look at all this foliage. The humidity comes from moisture, obviously. It's a form of moisture. And that moisture feeds all these plants. It's absolutely wild to me. It's like a jungle, these hardwood forests. And the bird life I've been hearing has been fantastic. I really only notice that in Montana when we're down by the rivers in the spring. And look at these. Because of the way I'm doing the iPhone and the audio on this one, I can't really monitor the audio, so hopefully it's all gonna work out. We're coming up on Main Street here, and you'll see some of these, again, these 19th century buildings. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about why Cold Spring is here. Obviously, there's been European settlement here since 1600s, maybe. Not in this particular place, but in the Hudson Valley. It's a main artery, transportation artery, the Hudson, and it's actually still part of the estuary here, and there's tidal forces. Of course, there was a fort across the river called West Point, which is now the U.S. Army's military school. And here's the fire department. But in somewhere around the War of 1812, and I've gotten mixed information about that, Gouverneur, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's not governor like a state governor. It's like Gueverneur or something like that. Governor Warren, started a foundry here, an iron foundry. Somewhere are these buildings, and that grew and grew and grew as the wars progressed. And here's the real traveling Finn having a little book read. And to about 1,400 employees, they needed a place to live. This is where it was. The foundry was here because, located here as we pass Garden Street, because there was some ore nearby, I assume iron ore, as well as a lot of trees to create the heat necessary to melt the iron and process it. How cute this is. As well as having the river here to transport the raw materials and the end product. In a little bit, I will talk about, there goes my AirPods. They sort of connect and disconnect, but I've got a different mic, a separate mic system as well, so we'll see how that works. Don't get in trouble. I can look down Main Street here. Cool bookstore, Split Rock Books. So I'll also talk about one of the inventions of, now I can't remember his name, Parrot, P-A-R-R-O-T. Oh, look at this little side garden and place to eat. How cute is that? And he came up with a rifled cannon that was pretty critical in the Civil War. He actually developed it beforehand. And it's not so much the rifled cannon part that was innovative as the way it was manufactured. So there was wrought iron and another kind of iron, and one was the rifled barrel and cannon. Look at all this awesome ivy. And the other was a band around the back end that kept it all from blowing apart. And he developed a way to put that on in a more efficient and more even way. And that's the extent of my knowledge on cannon manufacture. Look at these awesome buildings, and just like how quaint everything is. Barber and Brew here. Oh, and I wish I could share some of the smells, because people are starting to cook either late breakfast or early lunches, and it smells delicious. Here's Old Souls. Looks like outdoor gear. So I said it was about an hour away from New York City, and that's by train. And we're coming up on the train line. We're actually going to walk underneath the train line. Here is the Foundry Rose here. Looks like a neat little breakfast place, coffee and cocktails. Look at these stairs. Now look at this ironwork. I rarely see something like that. It's very Victorian looking, isn't it? Very cool. Super cool, as I used to say a lot, and I've managed to stop myself from saying that. Yeah, train line, about an hour 10 into the city apparently. And I'll walk you over here, do a quick little jaunt. So if you want to get to the station, you would go down there, and there's also a couple little parks down there which are super nice, and there's a marshy area and some trails. Place we went paddleboarding last evening near sunset. This is the Depot Bistro, I think. Over here you can see it's an old train station, and outside you can sit out and have cocktails. They have an outdoor bar, and they also serve some delicious food. But here's an information center. We're at Depot Square, and we're gonna go underneath the train tracks, which are right there. It's right there. Yeah. You can see the fence blocking it off. We're gonna go underneath. There was a gal painting. We'll see the train. Painting some murals down there, which is pretty neat. All right, so up there's a Hudson River, whatnot. You can see the train station way down there, a couple hundred yards. I love it. We're gonna go underneath and down towards the river though. And depending on time, maybe we will go elsewhere. So we're gonna have some fan noise down here. I think is here to help dry, it's 1929, help dry the paint. Kind of neat, old piping. And I have to assume this is sort of the oldest bit of town. Here on Fish Street. Over here on the left is a Argentinian empanadas and gelato shop, the umbrellas. And down here there's definitely some residences, but also some restaurants and little shops as well. So look at all this. Vintage guitars, Candy Company, and Cape Cod leather. Multifaceted. Now I should have looked this up, but I didn't because I forgot. This hotel over here and restaurant, very old, very historic, I have to think. I don't know, what makes historic? Is it just old things, or does it have to have events associated with it? Oh, the Hudson House, River Inn, since 1832. I'm gonna bang her right down here because I want to show you the front of this. and then we'll backtrack right over, we'll go over to the river. So here you go. Isn't that pretty cool? Now you'll see a green sign on the third story of that building on the left called the Fjord Trail with a line through it. And I'll talk about it in just a second after I talk about Moo Moo's Creamery. We came down here for ice cream last night, and it was delicious. And it was also $5 something a scoop, so not inexpensive. Here's their flavors of the day, in case you're coming today, which will probably be 3 days ago for most of you. But I want to show you the Hudson River. And it is very smoky, it's very humid, so the views are not lengthy, but they are pretty. And we'll get a better view out here in a second, but you can see these giant hills. Probably called mountains, but anyway. And then you've got this beautiful little riverside park here. I'm going to show you a model of a Parrott gun down here that they have, and then I think we'll be able to see West Point, the military academy. This is the park again, and they've got this pretty cool little band shell down here, which is super nice. I don't know if they use it for community functions or not. I would think they do. Here's a model of a Parrott gun. I believe the real ones were much bigger, much heavier. But you see that band around the back where the explosive part is ignited, reinforcing it, and then it had rifled barrel. You can see a barge going down there, but it's kind of neat. At sunset last night, it was like almost like something out of the Caribbean. So pretty. And then you can see down basically that far hill that's just kind of obscured. See if I can do this. Yeah, I might give you a better view of it. That is West Point U.S. Military Academy. They've got a nice little marina down here. Can only imagine what it's going to be like this weekend, sort of the fourth weekend, although the fourth's on Tuesday, I think, and how many other visitors there will be. I've got to tighten a sandal here. Maybe that'll help. Nope. My sandals are squeaking. Some beetles. All right. That's a little better. Nope. Little marina here, or boat club, I guess, Cold Spring Boat Club. We're gonna come down here, and I think since we're still got plenty of time on this walk, we will go down and make a right, and I think we'll end up over by this little park, which is pretty nice. Lots of these old houses. And there's a variety of styles. Some of them have been added onto over the centuries, I guess. 2 centuries. Some of them are probably missing. Yeah, so Hudson River Expeditions is the people we use for the paddleboarding. 2 really nice guys helped us out. Great, solid paddle boards, showed us where to go. Gave us, you get everything you need. Paddles, boards, life jackets, that sort of thing as well. And they also have kayaks. If you're interested in that, give them 5 stars. Yeah, so what do you do around here? So I talked about that sign against the Fjord Trail. The Fjord Trail is a proposed trail that would, from what I understand, link a bunch of other trails and just make everything more, here's another one of those signs, more accessible. And I think, from what I read, that the anti-Fjord Trail folks, look at these flowers, are concerned about increased traffic affecting the ecosystem, which I think is always a legitimate concern. There are plenty of places that have been loved to death. So I think there's also a little bit of, we don't want a bunch of people coming to visit, which I can also relate to in a little way. There's some is great, right? But when it can be, there is things, how do I say this? Over tourism is an actual issue, I think. So that's, if you know more about the trail issue, please feel free to kindly and respectfully comment in the YouTube comments. Okay, I had a bit of a blurb there where my iPhone quit playing. I was talking about the citywalksvirtualtours.com website, I believe. I created that in order because YouTube, it's hard to find good walks on YouTube. It's just so much content on there that it can be a bit of a challenge to find walks. And so I've organized my walks and a few others by location as well as by run time. So if you're looking for a 30-minute walk, you can find a bunch of those. If you're looking for an hour-plus walk, you can find a bunch of those. St. Petersburg, Russia, or you can look at the Italy walks, or South America, I think it's by country, Guatemala, or by state in North America. And eventually, when I get some from up in Canada, I'll break that out as well. You can see people waiting for the train. A few people, I don't know where they're headed. Maybe they're headed into the city, maybe they're not. Magazzino Italian Art is I think it's a private art museum, post-war art, that I believe is free to the public to open up. But we're gonna duck down here just really quick. We're gonna see where people are renting out paddle boards and kayaks, but we're also going to see the water because it's really pretty. And then I think there's a trail, I'm not entirely sure, over to this other park, which will get into some nature, hopefully. Interesting, no swimming. All right. the little marina. I don't know how we access that little playground area. I don't know if it's private property or not. Nonetheless, we're gonna spin around and this cool little place to sit, which I think this was the dock area for the foundry back in the day. We've got a reminiscent of that, the faux rails and ties there. Former historic document down here. And then a little beach. This is where we actually launched the paddle boards yesterday. Looks like the tide is up a little bit. It's crazy to me that there's still tidal action here this far up. All right, let's see what we can find in terms of a trail. And we'll also listen a little bit. Oh, here comes the train. Looks like we might have to go up and over. There's permitted parking and then there's paid parking down here.
Next to arrive on track 2 is the 11:11 a.m. train to Grand Central Terminal, making stops at Garrison, Peekskill, Cortland, Crook, Hudson, Tarrytown.
It's a schedule.
126th Street and Grand Central Terminal.
Interesting, you have to actually step down into the carriages.
Attention customers.
It's interesting to me to hear and read a lot of the names, like Poughkeepsie. Never been there, but I've heard about it quite a bit. And when I say heard about it, I mean I've heard the name. I haven't actually heard much about it. Another one was Yonkers, which was, we drove not through, but on the other side of the river. And I have no idea exactly where it was until this trip, which is kind of one of the fun things about travel. This old bridges. Old ironwork. This is not so old. Now this is a bit of an exploration because I'm hoping that we will find a little trail to walk on. the haze, I know most of it's smoke, but it does look a lot like that sort of haze you get from humidity. And reminds me of summers past in North Carolina and Ohio. Oh good, I think this is going to be the West Point Foundry Preserve Trail. And we will take a little stroll through nature. Pardon me. Had a bit of a conundrum there. I was running out of space on my phone. I couldn't figure out why. Turns out I had a 1 hour video on my pocket. So I think I got that sorted. So we should be good now. Hopefully everything is connected audio-wise. And it'll be a little tricky to edit, but that's okay. Right, the West Point Foundry Preserve. This trail is going to lead over there. In the interregnum, we had another train come barreling through, northbound. A little excitement. A little bird there. Did you see that? That was, I believe, what is referred to as a woodchuck, which I think is in the Marmota family. But that's kind of exciting, don't you think? Some old bricks from the foundry, I believe. And over here is it's sort of a marshy, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a wetland area. A bunch of rushes and calm water, and there's a bridge over a little inflow and outflow that lets the tide in and out. Yesterday evening as we paddleboarded, we saw a heron, which is not that unusual, but we also saw in the distance oh, look at these giant trees. Oh my gosh, look at these trees, how big they are. There's a crow up there. Love it. In any case, an osprey with a big fish in its talons. Now, for people in the Pacific Northwest, these, of course, are not particularly large trees. They are big hardwood trees, and I think they're beautiful. Here's the bridge, and it was a little bit lower. The water was a little lower than that, but we had to get down on our knees to get under it. It's kind of exciting. Ancient iron bridge. You know what? There's this stairway over here. It might be private. No? I think we're going to take this stairway because I think that's going to be a little more interesting. Mainly to me because I haven't been up here. A house in the country. Oh. woods and lawns atop this hill surrounded the cottage. Summer retreat of the Foundry founder William Kemble. Ooh, this is going to be a better view too. Honoring ancestral homelands. I mentioned the native peoples that lived here before European settlement, and I apologize for not knowing more about that. I really should. Oh, I'm hoping there's a trail up here. Yeah. Looks like off to the left is private property. Oh, another groundhog on the trail. These grasses. Trees. Oh, this is fantastic. Well, we're gonna look at this tree. I don't mean to get so excited about trees, but it's different, you know, it's new. These things are big, the grand, the scale of them. And that's one of the reasons I like to travel is this, you get this sense of awe sometimes, a sense of wonder, and it's just it's joyous. Not to be too spiritual about it, but we're gonna take a look here. You can see the highlands off to the left, swallows, butterflies, trees, vines, fields, all that stuff. And I think because the trail has petered out, I'm going to end it here. I want to thank you guys for joining me on this walk through Cold Spring. Hopefully the audio is okay. I apologize for the brief interruptions. But it should be fair, or not seem less, but pretty seem free, maybe, seem light. And I want to thank you guys again for joining me. We will be back in Montana probably for our next walk. So keep tuned there and keep on stepping.